My name is Jiles Smith, and welcome to our community. So Michael, tell us more about your background.
Well, originally I was an electrician back in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
After being through a few cold winters outdoors, I went back to school and I became an attorney. And then I kind of fell into the election business by accident, and I've been doing this now for 14 years. I was the elections manager in Omaha, Nebraska, and then I was the director of elections in the city and county of Denver for 4 years.
So what is the basic role of the Elections Office of the Registrar of Voters?
The Elections Office of the Registrar of Voters conducts elections for all federal, state, and local jurisdictions in San Bernardino County. Those local jurisdictions include 24 cities as well as almost 100 special districts.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, it is.
I know we're one of the biggest counties in the United States, probably the biggest.
We are the biggest geographical location county in the United States. We're 21,000 square miles. And we're the 12th largest in terms of population.
Right. So what is your overall mission and vision statement?
Our mission is to provide fair, accurate, secure, transparent, and efficient elections.
Some people believe that one of your jobs here is to help turn out votes. That's not what you do, correct?
Well, turnout is generally driven by the enthusiasm for a particular election. What we try to do is provide the means for people to vote, have very good polling places that are accessible to not only the regular voters but to disabled voters, and to provide mail ballots that are accessible and that people can drop off to many locations. For instance, we used to have one drop-off location in the county. Now we have 55. So it's very easy to vote by mail. In addition to that, we are expanding our early voting. We used to have one early voting site. This coming election we'll have 3 early voting sites, and we hope to have as many as 5 in the general election.
So I understand that voters have 3 options in which to vote.
Yes, the first option that we offer is for the voters to do early voting. 29 days before the election, the voter can come into the elections office and they can cast their ballot early. We also offer the ability for them to vote by mail. There are some residents who have opted to be permanent vote-by-mail voters, and they receive their ballot automatically in the mail. We also have the option of them, by using their voter information guide, to submit a request for a vote-by-mail application for just that one particular election. And then we also have the option for them to come into the polling location and vote as well. By going into the polling place, their information as to what location they would go to, they just simply need to look at the back of their voter information guide sample ballot, which would provide them where their polling location is located. Elections.com, and they can go into our lookup and they can determine where their polling location is at.
Let's talk about the backbone of your department, the volunteers.
The Elections Office usually operates with a very small staff of about 24 people year-round. However, as we begin to ramp up or get prepared for an election, our office internally increases to somewhere about 300 people, and then in our polling locations, we may employ somewhere between 3,700 to 4,000 poll workers that are out in the field working for us. It is quite a few people, but then when you look at the fact that San Bernardino County is one of the largest counties in the United States, and we have locations that can go all the way up into Needles or Ticino or Barstow or Baker, so we're really out there and we're really spread out. And because of that, we need to have a large number of poll workers that are out there manning our polls, and it's important that we train them. We take the time, we train, we go out to the locations, we train the poll workers, we make sure that they understand what election day procedures are required, so that way when the day comes on election day, they know what they're supposed to do.
Right.
They go out there, they work the polls, and believe me, they're excited about it.
You have great attitudes as well.
Yes, they do have great attitudes, because it's not so much about the fact that we give them a small stipend that's important to them. What's important is that they're seeing democracy and progress.
Exactly.
And that's what they want to see. They want to see the voters, and a lot of them tell me about how they greet the voters and how they walk them through and how they really and truly enjoy being with the voters. And that's the good part about it. It's just knowing that the poll workers have the satisfaction of knowing I'm helping democracy in San Bernardino County. And they realize that they represent not only themselves, but they represent San Bernardino County and the elections office in that process. So they try to provide the best customer service, the best voter experience possible, which is what we want them to do.
Well, how can people get a hold of you guys if they want to volunteer for that?
If they go on to the SBCO-TV website, there's an application there that they can pull down, and they can send it back to us indicating that they're interested in being a poll worker. We would love to have them come in and work with us. We love new workers, and we would love to have them come and work with us in the upcoming June and November elections.
Let's talk more about being an election worker. What's the benefits?
Well, we get paid.
Besides those benefits.
No, it's fun. I think that you get to meet a lot of people, and especially for someone like me that's young, I get work experience, which is, I think paramount. I get to, like I said before, take a real look at the elections process, and you get an inside scoop, and you get to see how this process that you don't really think much of is so intricate and so complex. So I think it's interesting.
As an election worker, what are some of the things that you do?
Well, I work in the communications department. So what we do is basically we're the phone bank. Whenever anybody calls in and has a question regarding their voter registration or filing for an office, we're sort of the front face, and we'll sort of either answer their questions or take them over to the correct department and make sure that they get their question answered.
What is the most interesting thing you've learned being an election worker?
I think that the most interesting thing that I've learned is that the elections process is sort of really a really involved process, and I think that one thing that I learned is that this elections office can go from 24 people to 4,000 people, within a few weeks, and
Wow.
that to me is really interesting.
How about election day? How was that? Is it a 24-hour shift? What's going on?
I haven't been here for too large of an election, but we've had some, 17-hour shifts, and I hear presidential elections are huge, so I'm excited for that.
Are you ready to go?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, June's coming up.
It is. So June should be relatively large. I think that's going to be the biggest election that I've been here for, and 2016 should be pretty big.
Would you recommend this job for anybody out there?
Definitely. I think that I would really recommend that anyone interested in getting involved with the elections process come in and work here. It's a fun place to work. I love the working environment. I love supervisors, managers. Everyone's really understanding, and they know that we're all sort of new to this process, and they all help us out and make sure that we learn and grow as individuals and within the organization as well.
Rutherford. I serve as chair of the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors.
I'm Josie Gonzalez, San Bernardino County Supervisor for the 5th District. Robert Levigat, 1st District Supervisor, San Bernardino County, here to talk with you about an exceptionally important day.
This is Gary Oben, County Supervisor, 4th District for San Bernardino County, encouraging you to participate in the game.
Hi, I'm Supervisor James Ramos from the 3rd District, and we're here to talk about Give Big that's going to happen May 8th.
One-day webathon where we're all going to get together and go online and donate to the charities of our choice.
One day, 24-hour, all-online fundraiser.
It's the chance to reach out and support the nonprofits within the county in a way that's never been available.
You get to pick from among the dozens and dozens of good charities in this county which ones you'd like to give your donation to.
Nonprofits really benefit our community and our region. But what's been lacking for years has been the contributions to our nonprofit agencies.
This is pay it forward time. This is your chance to make a difference in San Bernardino County and help out children and families.
Issues like education, the arts, recreation, healthcare, youth development, senior living.
You can give to one organization, you could give to dozens of organizations. But we hope that you will reach into your heart and give big.
If you want to help, here's how. Right now, log on to givebigsbcounty.org and find the nonprofits that you want to donate to.
Remember, May the 8th, 24 hours, you can give online and make a difference in this county.
So we're going to come together May 8th to make sure that we can provide and move forward the nonprofits in our areas.
Give big, May the 8th. Thank you very much.
And still want to help us? Then help us go viral. Share this video with your friends and relatives on social media so we can give big to San Bernardino County.
I understand about 40% of the voters are absentee voters. Why do you think that is?
Voting by mail is an easy, convenient, and cost-effective voting option. Mail ballots are delivered directly to voters' mailboxes. They have the luxury of voting that ballot in the comfort of their own home, dropping it in the mail once they've completed that ballot and really getting it to our office. It also eliminates the ability of having to take some time off work, go to the polling place on election day. So it's just really about an additional option to vote that's easy and at the convenience of the voter.
Are there any trends in elections in the last decade?
You would think that there may be trends, but when you actually look at the data, what you really see is that sort of turnout fluctuates from election to election. And that's really kind of dependent on what's on that election, which candidates are on that election. For example, we saw in 2008 with the last presidential election that record high turnout came out, and a lot of that was the buzz around who was on that ballot. Other than that, turnout really kind of goes up and down.
How much does an election cost?
The cost of an election is variable. A lot of factors that go into determining how much elections cost. Things like the number of polling places, the number of poll workers, the number of contests, what people are voting on, the number of candidates. Lots of different things affect that cost. And so every election is unique and different. Every election's cost is going to vary. The important part about what we do here at the Elections Office in terms of the cost is we're constantly reviewing and improving our procedures to maximize efficiency. And in doing so, we're actually making ourselves more cost effective, trying to really save taxpayer dollars and make our dollars stretch.
I understand that different people and organizations can come here and get trained to actually register people to vote.
Yes.
But your department actually really depends on volunteer organizations to get the word out, right?
Yes, as we were talking earlier, the Elections Office runs with a staff of 24 full-time employees. And for large elections, we really have to ramp up our staff in a very short amount of time. And that's partly done by the partnership that we have with the public through our poll worker program, which is the people that work in the polling places on election day, as well as our election worker program with the volunteers and the staff, the part-time staff that we hire in-house. An example of an opportunity that we have to work with the public is through voter outreach organizations, nonprofit groups. Last year we did a voter registration drive at a naturalization ceremony that took place here in San Bernardino County. So we worked with about 20 volunteers to register over 1,000 people in one day. It was really exciting. And so those are the kinds of things that we work with the public on to help us sort of get our processes and our projects complete. So we really do rely on them.
Making sure our election process is above reproach is probably the most important thing. What processes do you have in place to guarantee that?
At the elections office, we make a concerted effort to make sure that we administer our elections accurately, efficiently, and effectively. An example that I can give you to sort of demonstrate that is about our ballot counting machines. The ballots run through the machines, and what we do before an election and after election is we do logic and accuracy tests. And so we run ballots through the machines, and we know what the results are going to be. So we compare hand count to a machine count, make sure that it's accurate. It's important that we do it not only before to make sure that they're going to run properly on election day, but that we check them afterwards as well to make sure that they actually did run. It's sort of an example of the kind of testing and diligence that we place in our processes to make sure that things go smoothly and accurately on election day. The random alphabet draw that the Secretary of State produces before every election determines the order of the candidates on the ballot. And what's interesting about that is they sort of mix up the letters in the alphabet and they sort of create a new order. And then they follow that order in order to place the candidates alphabetically.
I understand you have some upgrades to your website.
We do.
Let's talk about those.
Our website has been re-enhanced and it's been redesigned, and we've really done a lot of work to make sure that we can provide information right at voters' fingertips. So some of the applications that we've built are things like the polling place and sample ballot lookup tool. That's redesigned before every election. So before an election, when you need to know what your polling place is, your assigned polling place that is, you can go to our website, you can type in your address, it'll give you directions, it'll tell you where to go. You can also download an electronic copy of your voter information guide. And those things are really important. Knowing where you're voting on election day is going to ensure that you get the right ballot, that you vote on the right contests. And so everyone needs to know where to get the ballot. Another application that we've developed, which is for the website, is the district lookup tool. There used to be an old district lookup tool on the website. It was kind of a small image, and so we re-enhanced that tool. It's really interesting because it's a image view that's 7 times larger than the last one, and it shows a visual map of all the boundaries of all the districts in San Bernardino County. It's a great thing for candidates who are...
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, it's a great thing for candidates to use. It shows the precincts within the boundaries. It shows, it's a map that you can look at different if you're in assembly districts, or if you're in state senate districts, or if you're in, your local districts like waters and schools. You can kind of look and see where those boundaries fall. So that's pretty interesting. But I think the most important application on our website that we feel is really important is the applications that we provide for our military and overseas voters to receive their voter information guide and their ballot electronically. So they can go onto that application, download their ballot, fill it out, and get it to our office to make sure that they get it here. I know, right?
16 optical scanning ballot reading machines. All right, we're going to come in here. We're going to show you how the machine works. We do not have any live ballots right now in this room. Normally, ballots come in. We do not have any live ballots in this room right now. Normally, our ballots come in ballot boxes, and they're sealed, either from the BBM, the provisional process, or an election night from the actual polls. And they come in sealed boxes. We open them up on this side, we read them, and then the box comes over here, and those same ballots go in the box, and they're sealed. So that's what you're not going to see today, because we don't have an election going on right now. So we have test ballots that we're going to read for you, just to kind of show you how the machine works. So you're going to come back on this side. This is in diagnostics. Normally, there would be, a live election loaded here. We don't have that capability. So when the ballots go in, if a ballot is successfully read, it goes into the red ballot box, and then those are taken out and put into the original ballot box they came into and sealed up. If the ballot is not read, there's a problem. The machine detects either it's a blank ballot, the columns are blank, meaning that somebody didn't put the line across in the ballot, or if it's an overvoted ballot. It's a vote for one and somebody put two lines in the columns. They would go into the outstack.
What happens to those ballots?
Those ballots go into a tray that's normally over here for review. They go to a review team, and that's a whole nother process. There's a whole set of rules for how those are reviewed. But basically, if it truly is a blank ballot, then it comes back in to be read as a blank ballot. If it truly is an overvoted ballot, meaning no one can determine the voter intent, a bunch of rules that are very detailed, then it will come back in and we will read it as an overvoted ballot, meaning that we will count the fact that you as a voter voted for that contest, but there will be no results, meaning we can't determine what you intended to vote for.
What happens if a person votes for one part of the election, but chooses not to vote on the other parts?
Then that is counted, what they vote for.
It's counted.
And in our canvas after the election, we know where we read a ballot, but in that contest it was an undervoted contest. So we know what our turnout is as well as our overvotes and our undervotes. Okay? If a ballot comes down here, that means that we have certified write-ins. And certified write-ins is something I think that Audilia and Mike can talk about. But we're told ahead of time, and certified write-ins are pulled out, they're counted ballots. And they're put into separate envelopes, and they go back in for a manual tally for a certified write-in.
So how many ballots can this machine tally an hour?
The machine is dependent upon how many ballots are being fed in a particular stack. So if you have a presidential election and you've got a big stack of ballots, they'll read through at a much higher rate per hour than if you've got a small turnout election where every box only has this many ballots in it.
Right.
Because there's a lot of paperwork that goes along with the opening and closing and the ballot reconciliation of every box.
Right.
The good news for us is that we've improved our processes in the last couple of years, where we've decreased our vote counting time by 40%.
Oh, outstanding. More efficient, okay, beautiful.
This is just a seal that we use, and there's two people sign it in date and time whenever we open up the ballot boxes, which again, we don't have a live election, you can't see. The people over here do paperwork and everything is signed off on, and then there's usually a sheet here that we sign off on. How many's in the batch and how many write-ins, how many outstacks, and what the batch number is. So there's a whole accounting process that happens, and I'm sorry we can't show you that today.
There's no election, we understand that.
Right. So this is just, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, ready?
This is an interesting ballot.
These are just our famous names ballots.
Why is that so slow? That's slow.
This is in diagnostic mode. We don't have a live election, so we... Yeah, this write-in, we don't normally have this many write-ins, so it's
Yeah. So
It's a test.
Yeah, so you test and retest to make sure election day is 100%.
We test with real test ballots that are set up for the election.
Oh, okay.
This is just our diagnostic.
This is a play.
This is a
Okay.
plane, yes.
But that's slow, because usually they're like...
In diagnostic, it is slow. I told you.
Which is fine, which is fine.
We don't have a real election loaded on here, so it's not going to be able to do that. That's...
Why are those, can you just turn off your switch so it's not kicking those off
Yes.
the bottom?
Do the
Sure.
MO.
Because you'll want a picture of it,
Okay.
really what it looks like in real life, because that's slow.
Just do MO.
You must be a guru at this. You can look at it and tell it's fast or slow. Does that go in a certain way?
Yeah.
Reads it anyway.
Reads backwards, upside down.
Wow.
Yeah,
Except
all
for the
four
fold,
ways.
except for the fold, then that's the only issue you would have then.
Well, it's not really an issue, it's just they run slower, and so they can
Just like
jam.
those ran slow. It machine varies in its speed based on what it's seen.
Because we're not doing the right answer. And normally you only get it right once in a while. Yeah,
So
let's,
these are our DREs. They're our direct recording electronic vote machines. We have one of these at every polling location, and these are used by sight-impaired voters when they can't read the ballot, because it will read the ballot to you, and then they can vote on those machines. Right now, they're proofing the ballots. We have multiple teams proofing the ballots, and we have over 1,600 different ballot faces to proof. It's not everyone goes in and they get their own ballot. They don't realize that there's 1,600 other ballots that have to be proofed, and so it's a very long and tedious process, but very important process.
And you also have to make sure it's Spanish and English as well.
Absolutely.
How about other languages at this point?
We provide English and Spanish. We're mandated to provide both of those. We also have ballots in 4 or 5 other languages.
Upon request?
Upon request, yes. At certain precincts throughout this
That makes perfect
county.
sense. Makes perfect sense. And you're right. If you're in one area, you need that school board race, but you don't need that school board race in someone else's area.
Right.
We actually have people here actually proofing ballots.
I believe it's very important for people to register to vote and then vote on election day. There's nothing more important in this country than the right to vote, and I think people should take advantage of it.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.